So, could we actually work less? Could we use technological and organizational development for more time for all, instead of more money for some? Working time reduction sounds great. It may lead to a better life with less stress and more time with people and activities we love. It may also be necessary to replace endless GDP growth with a more sustainable economic model. For sure, the environmental effects of working time reductions are very difficult to measure. When the national level is studied, there are too many technological and economic changes not related to working hours. When households are investigated, there are too many impacts that cannot be observed. Yet, absolute reductions in production and consumption likely deliver much-needed environmental benefits. In other words, getting off the treadmill can be good for us and good for others because our production and consumption often have negative impacts through resource use or pollution. So, could we actually work less? Could we use technological and organizational development for more time for all instead of more money for some? In the media, 4-day workweeks look amazing. They are set to increase the well-being of workers and the profits of employers while also reducing burdens on the environment. In fact, the picture you get is so brilliant that you may start to wonder how 99% of employers somehow overlook this opportunity. Perhaps the media representation is too good to be true. After careful inspection, it turns out that it is. Take the world-famous 4-day week trial of Microsoft Japan. It supposedly led to a 40% increase in productivity and all sorts of co-benefits. It was also terminated after a single month or just 5 days off in total. Which management would do that, really? While other schemes are more credible and offer useful lessons, there are important details about their actual scale, scope, and costs that never appear in the news. Moreover, working time reduction is simultaneously sold as a strategy to spur growth at the company level and to make degrowth work at the level of the whole economy. Dominant advocacy groups always propose trials in which neither production nor wages are allowed to fall, which is the least promising type of reduction from a sustainability perspective. However, advocacies produce bogus reports for the mass media to claim huge environmental benefits. So, should we forget the whole idea? Absolutely not. We should get more serious about the chances and impacts of various reductions. For instance, why are we not talking about simultaneous reductions of hours and wages at high income levels where time is proportionately more valuable? Scores of similar questions could be asked for specific social groups and types of reductions. As the issue is really complex, a comprehensive understanding cannot be targeted. Yet, a more realistic picture to facilitate more ambitious and widespread reductions should be possible. Before zooming in on stakeholders and contexts, note that there are competing theories to explain why we work as much as we do, not more or less. Drivers of working time trajectories may include labor taxes, the power of employers versus employees, income inequality, gender inequality, consumer culture, intrinsic interest in work, and the enjoyment of non-work time. Taking a step back, it is safe to say that it surely matters what workers and employers want, who is stronger, and what is practically feasible. Regarding the working time preferences of employees, a review of more than 170 studies shows that they depend on individual and household characteristics, workplace circumstances, and social norms, but preference formation itself is poorly understood. A conceptual model proposed to explain openness to working time reductions differentiates 7 functions of work: income, advancement, meaningfulness, relationships, time structuring, pleasurable activity, and autonomy, suggesting that known determinants of work time preferences exert their influence through affecting what functions of work people will seek and whether these functions will be found in the life domains outside work. This model looks substantially more realistic and more useful to discuss trials than the traditional economic model of work time determination, which says that the utility of income is evaluated against the disutility of work. Knowing what people really want from work can help to plan strategies through which reductions may be achieved. For instance, whether more enjoyable and meaningful activities in communities could spur interest in reductions, or income trumps all other functions. Case studies on employers show differences between smaller and larger companies. Small organizations are diverse and may start trials because their managers believe in the usefulness of shorter hours. In exchange, they often ask more predictability from their employees because operations can be seriously disrupted by the absence of a few workers. In contrast, large organizations are more predictable. They tend to choose low-risk working time reductions in which production is maintained. Interestingly, companies implementing reductions to increase profit by more effectively attracting and retaining workforce may reduce sectoral output because the same people would work more elsewhere. This may be the first reported case of profit-driven degrowth. Nevertheless, the broad pattern is that more socially and environmentally promising reductions are also more difficult to achieve. Governments, on the other hand, are rarely in favor of reducing production and consumption as they depend on economic growth in various ways. Tax revenues, business satisfaction, consumer desires, employment, and the self-reinforcing effects between these factors that create cycles of growth and recession all suggest little enthusiasm on their side regarding more radical working time reductions. Nevertheless, left-leaning governments are often not categorically against shorter hours, eyeing political support from workers. While the balance of power between stakeholders surely matters, history shows that reductions in working hours are possible. Once a decision for working time reduction is made, practical aspects of feasibility take center stage. What does working time even mean? There are at least 25 answers to this question. Working hours can be defined by presence at the workplace, actual work activities, and whether they are paid, referring to average hours or a concrete time period. Measurements can be based on legal documents, surveys, or advanced technologies. Digitalization, remote work, and on-demand flexibility make traditional measurement methods, such as employee surveys of usual weekly hours, less and less relevant. In many cases, the reliability of work time data falls, so it's increasingly difficult to tell what is going on. Expert interviews reveal what matters for the quality of data on working time. 4 relevant groups of factors have been distinguished: the work context, the work time definition, the motivation of measurements, and the method of measurements. Using these factors, 6 groups of workers with radically different outlooks for working time reductions could be statistically identified based on survey data. Externally controlled employees like industrial workers, the presence-based group, including many office workers and cleaners, the overworked cluster with most medical workers and many teachers, mobile workers like truck drivers or postmen, the relaxed group with many highly skilled employees doing office work, and finally, self-exploiters like many researchers and self-employed individuals. These groups can achieve very different types of working time reductions. Some will be financially compensated, others not. Some will be collective, others individual. Some will be weekly reductions, others annual. Routes of implementation will also be different. Certain groups are unlikely to get shorter hours without a collective push. Others need change in institutions or the organization of work. While in some cases, the key to a more relaxed life is cultural. Recognizing this diversity means that a multi-pronged approach and various types of working time reductions are necessary for a new work norm to develop. These are obviously just small steps in the emerging literature on working time reductions. Yet they clearly show that the social and technological changes disrupting the work norms inherited from the 20th century may lead to very different futures. Shorter or longer hours, high or low quality jobs, depending on current actions. Advocates of the 4-day week, who dominated the conversation so far, managed to raise global attention, which is crucial for widespread change. However, if we really want to achieve well-being and sustainability benefits, then we should consider the complexities of the world of work, target working time reductions for specific social groups and work contexts, and aim for more ambitious schemes actually reducing production or consumption. This will require new voices, more confrontational strategies, and a disaggregated view of the labor force. So, let's get down to work for this new vision of a more relaxed life. Or just lead by example.